Flying enemies will fly over everything in their way, including rubble, barriers, and player mechs. Flying enemies with the bombs ability will also fly over everything, but they will damage barriers and player mechs. For barriers, mark off 1 square per hit count of the enemy. For player mechs, add damage based on the enemy damage, while taking into account player mech armor. Flying enemies who stop their movement on player mechs can share the same space. Ground units who walk across rubble will take 2 movement points to enter the space. If a unit runs into a barrier, cease all remaining movement and mark off 1 square per hit count of the enemy. Enemies with the tracked ability do not require extra movement to enter rubble squares. Enemies on the board technically move at the same time. When multiple enemies are approaching a barrier, plan to move them together. If one enemy reaches a barrier and destroys it before another enemy reaches the barrier, the second enemy will be able to run right past the barrier. Here we have 5 enemies, approaching a barrier with 5 hits remaining. Each of the enemies deals 2 hits when they reach the barrier. If multiple enemies reach the barrier simultaneously, even if their combined hits is more than enough to destroy the barrier, they all cease their movement.